So hello everyone, it's Heather Cooper playing with paper crafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the interior of BC in Kelowna. Well, West Kelowna actually. I want to welcome you to Crafty Thursday. I try to do a Facebook Live every Thursday evening around 7 o'clock. And this time I've got a lot of projects on the go, and so I thought I would show you what I'm doing for one of the projects and make some progress while I'm at it. So my husband and I run a grief recovery group from our church, and it is coming to a close for the summer, and we like to gift people, the participants, some things just to kind of tide them over the summer, help them out a little bit. One of the things I do is make a journal for them so they can continue journaling over the summer. And I use our DSP to cover the front and back of some inexpensive notebooks that I get from the dollar store. But when I cover them with the beautiful DSP that we have, they really look special. And then I make cards for the participants. Yeah, that's right. I put it down there. Here's the stamp set. Okay. And it is made with the Layers of Beauty hybrid embossing, no, not hybrid embossing folder, but the hybrid set. Anyway, it comes with stamp set, and it comes with stencils, and these are what I want to show you how to use today. Let me just tip that a little bit. And then it comes with dies, and these all coordinate. So that is what I'm going to be concentrating on today. And this is the front of the card anyway. I haven't done the inside yet, but that's maybe I should turn it around so you can see it the right way around. Okay. So I know I have to work upside down. Okay, phew. Then I need to turn this around. All right, so we're going to get started with the task at hand here. So we're going to work on this part here, okay, first. So I've taken the piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch basic white cardstock, and I've put it into my stamp positioning tool, whichever one you happen to have, whether it's a MISTI or a Stamparatus like I have, which Stampin' Up! Is not allowed to sell anymore. And I've got a piece of grid paper in there, and I've positioned my paper here 1 1/2 by 2, and it's important that I know where it's positioned. But I find that this is really good for doing the stenciling because it's where you can keep track of where your paper is, and it holds it in place, and it holds the stencils in place as well. So it's really handy for doing stenciling, as well as you can also coordinate your stamp on this, on the plates as well. Okay, so these stencils are all numbered. So this is number 1. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring that up for you. Okay, number 1, and they all have a notch in it. And if you match the notch and do them in order of the number, then you're going to be good. Now I've drawn a little notch on my grid paper So I know where to position this. And then I'm just going to one by one slide out my magnets and put them down to keep my paper and my stencil in place. Okay, and so now I'm going to start blending my ink. I'm going to start light first, and my lightest one is Bubble Bath. Okay, so I'm going to ink up my blending brush with Bubble Bath. You can't really see what I'm doing here. Where is a good spot? There. This is such a narrow field of vision here for you. Okay, and make sure I get some more ink on there. And I'm going to start on the plastic just to get that first blush of ink off, and then start blending that ink into the paper. And it doesn't hurt to put a little extra pressure on the stencil. I must have used up almost all the ink with my first run at it. I have to re-ink in a minute, or before I do another one. Okay, and I want to get, I'm turning my brush all different ways so that I can get to all corners of the stencil. Boy, it was windy here today. It blew so hard. Okay, I think that's got it. So that's our lightest color. Now I'm going to keep using the same brush because we're just going from a light to dark. Okay, but I want to make sure that my paper doesn't move. So when I go to move this, I'm just lifting up the stencil, and I just do one at a time and put the magnet back down to keep the paper in the right place. Okay, and I move that off, and I'm going to clean that up afterwards. Okay, so the next is layer number 2. Okay, so there's layer number 2. Let me just tilt my camera a little bit. So I don't know if you can see layer number 2. It's a little too much tilting. And again, we're going to find that notch, line it up with the notch, and move one of the magnets at a time, and secure the stencil and the paper at the same time. Just make sure that it looks like it's in the right place. Mine looks like the paper's shifted slightly, even with all the precautions that we've taken. So I'm just going to try and fix that a little bit. I think the bottom is shifted over. There, that looks better. Okay. Now we're going to go with the next color. Oh. I'm going to stop moving it because I'm going to do some damage if I keep moving it. The next color is one of our new in colors, Pretty in Pink. Okay, so here's the Pretty in Pink, and using the same blending brush, That's pretty juicy, that one. So I'm just going to take the first blush of ink off on the stencil itself, and then go in and fill in on the paper. That's looking quite a bit darker. But what happens is that wherever the bubble bath is covered up by a piece of the stencil, it'll stay light. And I think you'll like what you see when I remove the stencil again. I've got one ear open for the hockey game. Who are you rooting for if you're into hockey at all? I'm a Canuck fan, I have to say. Sorry to all you Oilers fans out there. But whichever of the two teams goes on into the Stanley Cup playoffs, I will be rooting for them because we want a Canadian team to win, I think, don't we? Okay. Just gotta move to see if anybody's watching or commenting there. All right. Probably should refresh. See if I can see any comments. Oh, there's somebody liking. All right. Now, we're going to remove this one. So we just lift up the stencil, and one at a time we put the magnet back on again. Come on, magnet, there we go. Okay, now you can see exactly what happened with that one. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get a rose feel to it. Now the third one, I'm going to use the, where am I here? I'm going to use Primrose Pop, which is another, this is number 3, stencil number 3. So I'm going to line it up on the notch, and one at a time. That's about right. Line it up, add the magnets. Okay, Primrose Pop, which is another one of the in colors. The new in colors. And this one is fairly dark and juicy, so I don't know if you can see the color here. Okay, do you have any favorites among the new in colors? What do you think of them? This one stains the stencil. Even if you wash it out right away, it still leaves a little bit of red on the plastic of the stencil, like this kind of color does on the photopolymer stamps as well. It's inevitable, these really dark red kind of, or purpley kind of inks have a staying power. Okay, that should do it. Okay, now we're done with the reds. Let's do the bottom first. That's so pretty. Okay, now we're going to do the leaves. So we'll go for stencil number 4. And this is the lighter of the leaves. I'm just going to make sure that we don't get any of the flowers in there. And for this color, we're going to, or for this stencil, we're going to use another in color, which is Shy Shamrock. Okay, here's our Shy Shamrock. Better close up my petunia pop, or I'm going to get myself into it somehow. There. Okay. So I'm using a smaller blending brush here. Now there's, with this stencil, there's a lot of little spots. When I go to clean these stencils, I'm just going to go take them and run them under the tap and dry them off with a paper towel or a towel, you know, an old towel of some kind, just because it's probably the most efficient way of doing it. I can use a wipe, baby wipe, but I just don't get enough coverage, and it's not quite wet enough to do the job properly. So that's what I did earlier, and it worked really well. Got a lot more of the red out too. Not all of it, but more of it. Okay, I think that's done. Okay, and the last color we're going to do for the fifth and last stencil is Pretty Peacock. I took a good look at all my greens and I wanted something darker, but for the colors we're using, I thought that Pretty Peacock would be the most compatible. Okay, and so that makes quite a difference once you get the green in there. All right, and the last stencil is just the darker parts of the leaves. So here's number 6. Just make sure you can pretty well match it up with the leaves. There. Okay. Now, where's that peacock? Pretty Peacock. This again is a really intense color, so it's going to get my brush. You know what? I'm going to use the brush I used for the other one. I can save that one blending brush the intensity. There. I really like doing this because it's fun to conjecture, to think about what it's going to look like when you add each new layer. Just fun. Okay, I think we've got it. So now we can remove the magnets, remove that last stencil, and that's what we get. Now, you do have another option, and that is, if we put the magnets back down, we could stamp an outline on here. I happen to like the way it looks without an outline, but you could use like a very light color, or you could use black, and you could outline. Let me just put this back down, because I do have the stamp pretty matched up, although I think it's shifted a bit. I would have to readjust it. But you can, the stamp does match up with the stenciled image. So you could outline it if you wanted to. I'm not going to today, but I just wanted to show you how you could actually do that. And then for die cutting, the Layers of Beauty dies, there's one large die that matches with that. Let's see, I think this goes this way. So that matches up with it, and we can die cut it, but there are also smaller dies that you can use to die cut smaller bits of that image too, and pop them up a little bit bigger. However, I'm going to just take this over and die cut it, and you can sit here and whistle while I do get that done. It will take me a second here, and then we can put our card together and we'll be ready to go. It just takes me a second to get it lined up properly. And running it through. This is a little bit big, too big of an image to use the mini with, but there we go. So I'm going to take, I'm using reverse colors this time. So I'm starting with Pretty in Pink, new in color. There. And just using my bone folder there. And I'm going to use the Petunia Pop and glue that down. There's my Stamp and Seal. Come on, baby. Okay. Let's get that centered and straight. Okay, centered and straight. Now the white, when I was doing the other one, I forgot about the white, and I had dimensionals on my image, and I had to gently peel off each dimensional, or peel the image with the dimensionals off each one separately. Let's move this up so you can see what I'm doing. that. There we go. You need to come over, move it over just slightly this way. There, that's better. Right, now, dimensionals. So I'm going to add dimensionals all over this. I'm going to put it here so you can see it. There, and there. There, and there. I'm just getting them into all the little periphery bits here, peripheral bits. Around the edge, and then we'll fill up the middle a little bit. There, that's pretty good. And 2 or 3 in the middle should do. There. Okay. Now let's get rid of all the backings. That's not sticking down enough to make it easy to pull off the backings. So I'm sorry about the portrait orientation, which is all Facebook allows right now if you're using your phone. I do have a webcam that I was using, but I need to get a better microphone, because the microphone that I was using with the webcam that goes with the webcam was terrible. It's really corrupted, so I've been kind of holding off using the webcam until I can get a better mic to use with it. Okay, and then I was looking for good sentiment, and I found this one in the Comforting Thoughts stamp set. It's thinking of you, praying for you, hoping with you. And that turns out to be just perfect for what I wanted to convey to the folks in the grief recovery program over the summer. Okay, so now I want to add some dimensionals at the top and some tape, double-sided tape at the bottom, so it will rest on, you know, the popped up image down there at the bottom, and then I'll need dimensionals at the top. So just so I can remember that, I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals at the top here, and some Stamp and Seal at the bottom, and remove those backings, and add right there. Okay, and there's the card. So basically I really wanted to just show you how to use those stencils, and if you're thinking about getting into using stencils a little bit, the Layers of Beauty is a great set to give it a try. Okay, and you've got so many options with it. Like, you can just stamp it and color it in yourself with your Stampin' Blends. Again, you can use your blending brushes and add the color using the stencils, and you can stamp over it, you can die cut it. There's so many different options. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and I hope if you have any questions that you can ask them at any time, even if it's after, if you're watching the replay, and I'll try to get back to your questions when I can. So just wanted to let you know that I am having a catalog launch. It's a bit late. I would have done it this coming week, but we're going away. So I won't be back next Thursday with Crafty Thursday because I am off to my daughter's house for a visit in Nelson, so I won't be able to do it next week, but I will be back the week after. And so until then, this is Heather Cooper playing with paper crafting, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.